Hello, my friends. In this episode, I'm joined by my good friend Daniel Maddox to revive the series called Under the Macroscope, where we share our thoughts on current events and take a deeper look into the sort of collective psychology that we're observing in the world, and hopefully share with you a little bit more clarity and deeper insight into the madness that is going on in the world. So this was a really good conversation. I know you're gonna love it, so stick around. All right, welcome in, my friends, to yet another episode of the Wizard Factory podcast, where together we explore the universe through ourselves. This channel is all about giving you the spiritual tools and mindsets to live a more free and empowered life. So if that sounds like your jam, hit the subscribe button, join the tribe, and drop down and hit the like button before we get started. So today, I'm joined by my good friend Daniel Maddox. Daniel is a writer, a public speaker, podcaster, independent researcher, and teacher of natural law, and works to help spread the knowledge necessary for freeing the mind, body, and spirit from bondage to ignorance. So Daniel's a good friend of mine. We've known each other many years. In fact, we did one of our first interviews together right around the time that I started the Wizard Factory over on his channel, Rejuvelation. So without further ado, let's bring Danny on. Welcome, Daniel, to the show.
Thank you, brother. Good to be here.
Yeah, man. So we've been talking about this for a long time, a lot of ideas bouncing around on what we could get into. And basically we decided we're going to kind of make this a two-part question and answer, or just let's set the stage. So this is kind of the taking a look at just what is, right? Just taking inventory for the state of things, where people are at. And then when we bring it back to the next one, we will essentially look at more solution side of things. So Danny, you are most active on Instagram. I know you've taken a bit of a break lately, but I've always really enjoyed your content over there, where you do more sort of off the hip, just rants and just philosophical musings and whatever just is kind of coming through and on your heart that day. And, you know, it's always very authentic and direct, you know, and just like getting at the heart of the truth. I really admire your viewpoints on things. So what a great person to be riffing on, just kind of like taking a look at things and where people are at. And so I just want to open up and, you know, let you share what's coming to you for essentially where things are at right now. You know, what are you seeing?
Thank you, Logan. Yeah, it's an honor to be on your site. I see that you're doing really well, and I'm honored to be here. Thank you. Yeah, I see things right now. I mean, the topic really is just a broad scope of where we're at. And I just wanted to get that in because I've been taking a break from social, as you said, because I got to a point where I was just creating things that was a repeat, a rehash. I was trying to twist it in such a way that it would be as gripping as some of my other things. But then I got to a point where it wasn't fulfilling me, and I wasn't effective in my messaging. My messaging wasn't getting to the people in the way that I wanted it to. And it was taking a big toll on me. So I took a break, and I've been using that time to go within and to write my next book, which I'm pretty close to finishing. As you know, I wrote the Resonance Born book, Rise of the Users, during 2020, the pandemic. And that is just basically a time capsule of the way the world was at that time. You know, the US elections were going down, Biden versus Trump. It was just like, it was and the coronavirus was going on, and the world had never been in that much fear all at the same time, except for perhaps, the Cuban Missile Crisis or World War II or something like that. It was a global fear-demic. And that fear-demic has become endemic. It's spread to such a way that even though the threat of it is no longer here, like raise your hand in the room if you see people still wearing masks everywhere they go, whatever they're doing. It's like these people have been permanently damaged and they're not coming back. They're not coming back. They've chosen a one-way ticket. Some could, by miracle. I never say that it's not going to happen entirely, but I'd say there's certain people that just have chosen a path that there's no turning back from without, you know, Christ consciousness itself just landing in their body out of the blue. And because they're not looking for a way out of the prison that they're in, they're comfortable, they feel safe in it. And I think that is really the dichotomy that we're facing. We're facing people who have become, through conditioning, slave think only. That's all that they're in, right? And everything they do, everything that they create is a condition of that slavery. And as you were talking to Mark Passio a while ago about human condition and nature, and he was saying that, a house, if it's a mess, is still a house. No matter what happens to this house, or a computer, if it's all messed up, the condition is not what the nature of it is. And so the condition of the human race right now is at a perilous point. But that being said, we're at such a beautiful moment too, because so many people are questioning where they never questioned before. And even if it's questioning like, is this really good? Or, any type of questioning that they do outside of the groupthink, outside of the slave think, is good. Even if it's fear. And it's going to spawn in people the chance, the opportunity to blossom, to evolve. And I see it happening everywhere with all the people in my friends group, even if they're, they're still messing up this way or that way. They're still drinking, or they're still smoking, or they're still sleeping around, or whatever it is that people do that gets them out of their truest self, out of their alignment towards the macro. And what is the macro? The macro is the halo above us all that informs us all. And it's just a big circle. And to be at the center point of it is to be in a condition in which you can see the totality of it, but you can only see the totality of it from the very center. You're under it, you're in the bottom, you see it above, right? But if you're at a side angle or any point other, there's things that are hidden. And so the whole point of this talk that I'd like to really hit on is, how do we get to that center point? How do we get to the vantage point where, that diagram where they say that, you see the light shining on objects and it shows you one angle and it's like, yeah, this is true. This is true. This is true. But the truth is what's the whole thing at
what's
once,
actually
right?
there. Yeah.
Yeah. What's actually there. But your vantage point is not the truth. Unless you're perfectly positioned in the center, the center path. It's a razor's edge. That movie with Bill Murray, I love it. The Razor's Edge, you got to see it. And also the original was great too. And it's all about this guy who thought the world was this one way, and he had all the benefits of society, he had all the money, he had all the friends, he had all this, and then he went off to World War I and he had a terrible experience, and he came back and it was all pulled out from under him. All the promises of what was supposed to be, what society had promised him. And he decided, because he had this moment of reflection that he couldn't step away from, he couldn't deny that he had been touched in a place which society had told him doesn't exist. Boy, this doesn't exist here. You don't. My friend was telling me today that how crazy is it that so many family members, even your father, your mother, your uncle, your grandparents or whatever, in our world right now and for so long, they'll limit you. If they see you growing beyond them, there's so many people that are so hurt by their missed opportunity for growth their missed opportunity for their evolution, for their true flowering into what they could have been, that they'll smash anyone, even their own kin, to prevent them from flowering because they're jealous or because they're envious. And
It's like the crabs in the
evil
bucket.
spirit. Yeah. That's a whole, that's it, right? Or they're trying to grab onto them in order. See, the reverse would be they're trying to grab onto them so that they can get out too, not knowing that then they're just pulling them down. And so either way you look at it, how do we come to a point of centeredness? And why do we need to become a point of centeredness? Well, we'll save that for the next talk.
Right.
But for now, let's talk about how it's happening and where we're really at in the world. So Trump won, right? And this is this huge shift. And some people would say it's necessary. Some people were on a better path now that we would have been if Kamala had won. And I tend to agree with that because the Democrats were literally insane. And so it's the perfect bait and switch, because as an anarchist, you know that it's always just two dialectics. They need you to choose one or the other. And if they need you to choose one or the other in a certain time frame because they have a certain agenda for that time frame, then that's how it'll be. And does that mean that Trump can't, change things? Has any president ever done a good thing? Yes. Has any government ever done a good thing? You could say yes. But in the entirety of it,
like
out
net
at the
positive.
baseline. Say that again?
Like looking at a net positive, basically.
Yeah, is there a net positive?
It's never that.
There can be a net positive if you see yourself as a beautiful slave. If you see your life as a slave as being beautiful and grand. But every day that I exist out here in the world, I see that the people that are most invested in the system are the least happy. They have the most money. They have all the gizmos. They have all the babes. But at their face, I can see they're not really happy. They're not really fulfilled, because it's a cocaine hit, it's great in that moment, but then you just need another and another. And by the time you get to any point where you think you're satisfied, it doesn't last. And then you're really in the hole because you've been draining yourself of all vitality and all love. And so this is why social media has only increased. But the good thing is people are rejecting it. People are stepping away. Like I said, people are questioning. And so if the world is to truly manifest the things that you and I want, we want anarchy, which means no masters, no slaves. Everyone is responsible for their actions. Everybody is responsible for what they want and what they do with what they want, and a world of self-responsibility. That is anarchy. Anarchy, self-responsibility. Meld them two in your mind, because that's all it really is. So are we in a state of anarchy? No, we're not. We are in a total state of archy. We're under the archons. I had a vision the other day where I was thinking, how many arches are there above the average person? And, how many masters do they claim as their own?
Right.
So government would be a master. Their bank account would be a master. Their church would be a master. Their science would be a master. Their friend group could be a master. There's all these different things they're above you. It's like the sword of Damocles. You're king, but there is a sword swinging above your head on the throne. Any minute that sword could fall on you and kill you, because you are in this position of power where people want to take you down in order to get that power. And I think this is one of the things that people really need to understand about power in general and government in general, is that it's all a power play. And the people who hold the most power are almost never seen. And so the question is, how many people are there that control things? And do you see any of these people in the world today? And does it even matter? How much power do they have, truly, if no one listens to them? None. You could be anyone. You could have any amount of money. If nobody listens to you, if nobody's buying what you're selling, you can do nothing. And so Where are we today in how much power the individual has in government? Clearly, I mean, if you see Biden being able to pardon his son since 2014, 9 years, any crime that he committed is, it's gone. And so, and then all these pardons and all these different things, where do we stand as a people? How much of ourselves do we give to the structures that supposedly support us? And how much do we allow ourselves to flower outside of that? And so, how many people do we see flowering outside of the system? I'd say there's way more now than there has been since probably the early 2000s. I'd say somewhere around 9/11, that's when the shift started to happen and technology was wrapping around us. It was creating a digital prison. It was creating mechanisms and means to draw from us our consent, to draw from us whatever is valuable for it, but not really for us. And the youth that I see today, it's horrifying in many ways. I see the youth incapable of making any decision outside of what they're told, or they totally reject the elders. They totally reject the wisdom. They totally reject anything that is not the newest, hottest thing, which is controlled by who? The media, Hollywood,
Mm-hmm.
corporations, and they're all in bed with the Satanists. They're all in bed with these people that want to extract from humanity whatever soul caliber it has left in order to create their dark harvest. And I think in many ways it's failed. But these people are the try again crowd. If at first you do not succeed, you must try again. And the dark occultists, this is their motto. They sing it in their sleep. And to them, it's like they just need to keep hitting the right buttons. And because we're ingrained, we're entrained, there's these rails that humanity has been on for so long that even if you were never taught it, we're talking about nurture and nature in our environment. Even if you were never taught it, our genetics are so filled with yes man code. Yes man, yes. Oh yeah, I'll do it. It's epigenetics. It's so entrained in us that nobody even needs to say it without it being an almost default level. And so even though people are waking up, even though people are evolving, they are still held back by the momentum of history. And which is really just a train wreck, thousands and thousands and thousands of years old. It's a train wreck, and like humanity used to be this really straight line, or it could have been at one point, but things went so haywire that we've just been trying to pick up the pieces. So I guess my question for you is, where do you see it? Where do you see the condition of humanity? Where do you see the condition of us as people, as individuals? And what's the scariest thing in the room right now to you? Because to me, the scariest thing in the room is people's willingness to abandon all logic, all warning, in order to fit into their tribe, in order to fit into something that they consider safe, some form of the dialectic.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, when you first started talking, you were mentioning the center path, and that's what really stood out to me in context to this conversation, because what I see it is that like the psyops are just relentless, and we're just getting pounded and pounded and pounded, and people can't even think, because as soon as they start getting their orientation, it's the next one and the next one and the next one, and then there's multiple. Like I've seen this acceleration just in the last couple of years. It's like exponential. Remember how, Facebook, for example, there's these things, and when you see them, that it just dominates the feed. You flip it open and it's post after post after post. The Johnny Depp trial, the Lost Submarine, the slut cop that banged everybody. You remember? Just it was just like, but there would be some space between them, and it would kind of be these gems every now and then that would pop in. But lately, it's just been like multiple going on at once, and you just can't, like, you can't even open the app without just, and then to post something in that environment, it's so demotivating for me to try to put my little signal amid such an overwhelming blast of noise. It's just noise. That's all it is. So that's one thing, is just how much the psyops have gotten just out of control, in their frequency, in their like stickiness, and just people just can't let it slide by. They can't not post about it or do, weigh in some kind of way. And I feel that too. I think of something clever, and like, okay, I'll play just a little bit, not too much though. I mean, some people just like, they post about it for days nonstop and stuff, like. But anyway, the other thing that I wanted to say was this idea of the center path is about balance. Mm-hmm. And with all of this shit going on so just relentlessly, it's just constantly knocking people off balance. They can never find their center. They can't even, let alone tune in to their own self, their own inner wisdom, their own intuition, and just moral compass of any kind. Like, it's so just off kilter in every direction. And that's one of the biggest problems that I see, is that it keeps people so disconnected from themselves. And then it's like that. I think of those like robots, those creepy like Boston Dynamic robots, and they'll push them and they're like trying to like stumble and they try to find their balance or something. That's what I'm thinking of, is like people's, there's just these androids getting pushed around, and like, it keeps them jarred in this like, fight or flight type of mentality. And so instead of saying, hold on, like, first of all, stop pushing me, back away, let me think, give me some space, let me like go be by myself for a little while and tune in, they're just in this reactive mode. Constantly, they're reacting instead of being proactive, instead of being a force of magic in the world of their own aligned willpower and true divine will, capital W. They're just reacting as a subjugated, it's like an algorithm. And then they just tap into whatever narrative fits their own schema and their own trauma, patterns. And like you said, the herd mentality has a big part of it as well. And so, yeah, they just kind of like, they're just grasping at something so that they can trick themselves into thinking that they know what the hell's going on. And as long as they convince everybody else that they get it and they know what's up and they know the truth, that's enough for them to get by. Hey guys, hope you're enjoying the episode so far. I just want to take a quick moment to offer you a special gift. It's the free initiation package download. This is a free download package that includes the Toolbox mini course. I created this package to equip you with all of the essential tools you need for any type of energetic or magical practice for anyone serious about their spiritual development. It's comprised of 3 parts: the circle, the breath, and the voice, where you'll learn how to cast the Circle of the Magi, various breathwork techniques, including a powerful guided breathwork meditation, Rune Galler, and more. You'll also get access to the Inner Sanctum, our private Facebook group and Discord server, as well as some Wizard Factory wallpapers for desktop and mobile, all for free. And for those who've already seen this course, I'm happy to announce that this is a brand new remake with better production and even more information. You can find the link to get yours in the description below. So check it out and let's get back to the content. The other thing that I really wanted to highlight is this so blatant good cop, bad cop. We're in the good cop phase now. That is going on. Like the amount of trauma and just, oh my God, just narcissistic abuse in every way from the system, from the health people, whatever the hell I don't even know what to call them, the health sorcerers, the unhealth sorcerers, the government, the economics, like all of that big picture that kicked off in 2020. It was so dark. It was so evil and abusive, and it was years of that people were so demoralized and almost at their wits' end. And then all of a sudden, the light breaks, and it's the dawn of a new day. It's the Donald of a new day, right? The orange sun just rises in the east, and everybody's like, oh, we're saved, because they were so close to actually saying what the fuck's going on. Something's wrong. Something's got to change. But wait, who's going to change it? Well, it sure ain't the Democrats or whatever. And then, but that's what I'm saying is, like, they got pushed so to that limit, and then they're just getting corralled into the next psyop instead of ever taking responsibility and actually trying to get to some answers. And first and foremost, stop begging for a savior. Stop begging your masters to fix things. And that's where we're at now with the fucking dream team, Elon and Trump, like, we're going to clean up this corruption and look at all this fraud, waste, and abuse, and RFK with the health stuff. It's just like this whole fake revolution, political. You and I both know no true change is going to come through that system. No revolution, no evolution, damn sure, is going to come through that. But man, people are just chugging that sewage right down the gullet. It is
and
just
will continue
insane.
To do it.
Yeah. It's so mind-blowing to me, even amongst people that, are so-called anarchists, so-called freedom advocates, whatever. They are just choo-chooing on that Trump train like nobody's business. And then you say anything remotely critical or, like reasonable, and that's TDS, that's Trump deranged syndrome. Like, you just can't, you're too black-pilled. You can't even appreciate when anything's good happening.
Yeah. And so what is the premise of it? Like, what is the premise of the system that they're talking about? If Trump actually went and deleted the IRS and limited the government by 20% every year that he's in office, then I might be saying some good things about it. But the thing is that it's all gearing up towards just another form of the con. The Democrats would have been one form of the con, and this is just another flavor of it.
Right.
And it's like, if people want to evolve, that's not something that you do by joining something. That's not something you do by giving up your power. You don't evolve by giving up your power. You evolve by taking back your power.
Standing in that power.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And that is a solution. But do we really think that people are going to unattach the Kool-Aid IV drip in their necks right now of Trump or of Republicans, or even if you're a Democrat and you think that they were going to solve your problems, it's like, okay, what were the problems? Oh, there were no problems. Everything was absolutely fantastic during that administration. You didn't see any problems? None whatsoever. Oh, you didn't see the prices of goods skyrocketing all across the planet? Oh, that was just the pandemic. Well, who instituted the pandemic? Oh, well, can people remember? They've been memory holed to such an extent that if you bring up something that they do remember and their critical thinking does engage, they become extremely uncomfortable because at heart they know, oh my God, this person has a point. This person is saying something that inside me somewhere it resonates as real and important. But because it goes against what my friend groups say, what my society wants, I can't handle it. I can't let it happen. I will drop it. I will take that part of me that senses that I need to change, and I'll just tear it out of my chest. Tear it out. No. Society has deemed that I will not change. And so that is what people do. I see it happen all the time. I can't even stand it sometimes when I hear people talking and I ask them about what they're saying. Oh, you studied that? No. Where did you hear it? Oh, my friend said it. They didn't hear it themselves. They didn't look into it themselves. They heard it second, third, fourth hand, but they consider it gospel.
Mm-hmm.
They consider it the word of the divine because their friends must be right. Their friends are all driving Beamers. Their friends all go to Coachella. Their friends all go, have a good time and they've made it, and they're recognized and they have awards or whatever it is. Even people in my circle who are really intelligent. They've invented things which have garnered them or could have garnered them $1 billion. Like I have one of my mentors growing up, he had he invented some technology for extracting oil or something, and he was going to sell it to the Chinese, or the Chinese wanted to buy it for $1 billion. And he said no. He said, no, I don't agree with what you're doing as a nation. And he ended up, selling it for a lot less, right? But he gave up a mountain of money for his morals. How many people can do that? How many people would say, I would rather do the right thing than have more money than I'd ever know what to do with? There may be one in 10 million would do that. Right? And so that if you really had the mountain, if you really had $1 billion in front of somebody, it would be less than 1 in 10 million, probably. Even some Buddhist monks would be like, all right, okay, we'll look into this. Buddha will forgive me. Suffering sucks. So that's what I see as the major problem, is that people are willing to sacrifice any and all principle. They don't even know what principle means.
Right.
Principle means the first things, the things that you consider first above all others, right?
Right. That change every 5 minutes according to whatever suits them.
Every 5 minutes, if that, whatever the moment calls for them to get their goodie bag, to get their num-nums, as one of my friends likes to say about drugs, is, I got my num-num, that's all I want. And so they're set up because they're on num-num IV all day. And so the ticket for most people is just to be relatively accepted, not targeted. As long as I'm not targeted, I feel good. I feel set. I have my money, I have my Zuzus and Wim Whams, and I got a little money in the bank, and I don't really have to work for it that hard. And so that level of comfort in the con, even though if they have any soul caliber, they will. And what I mean by soul caliber is, if you don't have soul caliber, then you don't have a soul at all, which means, as Mark Passio likes to say, they're encased in stone. They could be a spiritual being. They could be a sphere of light that shines the way, but instead they are a pit which sucks in light or devoids the room of light. It prevents light from being shown in or around them, from them. And technology is a great tool for speaking the truth. Technology is a great tool for learning. But right now, technology in its entirety, especially with AI, is to strip the human being of all purpose, all, things that they can do with themselves. You know, I know so many people, they're like, oh, I was doing this one thing and now AI has made me redundant. Oh, I was a graphic designer. AI can do that so much better, faster, cheaper than I can. I don't have a job, And so if we are creating, and we are creating tools which are vastly more powerful than the average person, and they have no morality tied to them, they have no structure of truth that guides them, then it can only create a downward spiral that pulls you away from yourself, that pulls you away from your grounded center point. And I see more and more people unable to break free, unable, even if they're consuming good media, even if they're consuming things that are uplifting them, they're not spending any time in nature. They're not truly bettering their physical, uh, material condition. They're allowing their minds to go into good places sometimes, but they're forgetting about the physical because the addiction to the technology is so intense. It's so powerful. It's so profound. And that's the great danger with Elon Musk and Trump, because they're going to sell those brain chips like hotcakes. They're going to sell the tickets to Mars like hotcakes. They're going to sell the underground tunnels and the bunkers and all that, because that's just another form of the empire. That's just another form of the agenda to make an all-powerful superstate. Even if, you get way less taxes, even if you on the face of it, it looks like you're becoming more free. If someone else is making you more free, you aren't more free at all. All your freedom is dependent on this person or these persons, these people claiming to be the betterment of yourself and your world and the life that you want to lead. So that is the great danger. That is where I see the condition of the world right now, is that we are stepping willfully and blindly into the perfect pleasure trap. The perfect, like there's people just getting into the tank with Neo. They're putting the drills in their own head. They're saying, you know what, man, this fucking Neuralink is the shit. This is, oh man. And they get in the goo and they're like, oh, I can forget about everything that happened in that fake ass world with the flowers and the ground and the fish and, the birds and the bees and the sunshine and the fresh air. And
fuck that, man. Give me the metaverse,
yeah, fuck
baby.
that. Who needs that?
Yep. Chilling in the metaverse. But hey, we're in the metaverse right now. You know what I mean?
We are. And you know what? It's like ever since Zuckerberg said, oh yeah, we're not going to censor people anymore. It's like, that's pretty much when I got off. It's like, oh, you're not going to try to stop me anymore? You know what? I'm done here.
What's the fun in that?
Maybe. Yeah, what's the fun in that? You're not going to, use your hundreds of billions of dollars to try to stop me? All right, I'm done. But, I only play games on the hardest difficulty because I can't do it where it's just like, oh, it's mindless drivel. And some of my friends, they can only play video games on the easy difficulty because if they face even the slightest challenge, they're done. They want all the bennies, none of the worries. That ain't reality, son. It just ain't. And if you want to live in that world, you're gonna live in a fake ass metaverse that doesn't give a fuck about you and is harvesting you bit by bit until you're not really worth anything anymore, except for maybe as a consumer.
Yeah, that is pretty much the game, it seems. The ultimate, it's the con that just keeps sort of shape-shifting into the next thing, but it's the same con. It's just adapting and advancing with technologies, but it's domestication. That's ultimately what it is. Giving you all the pleasures and the comforts and the protection, the safety, whatever, but for what? Your sovereignty. And you hit on that a minute ago, and I really agree that that's one of the biggest points that people don't understand about freedom. Whether you're the average Joe that's over here cheering for the fireworks on 4th of July saying, yeah, we're freedom. We're best country on earth. Yeah. Or
The beer thing.
yeah.
The beer
Or
hat.
or a so-called anarchist or a minarchist or a constitutionalist, right? A right-wing, I love freedom person that thinks that the Bill of Rights and the Constitution is the only reason that we're free. It's just completely not what freedom actually is. It's this artificial idea that's been grafted on to that word. It's like the bait and switch of, if that makes sense. It's just like, or yeah, like the Indiana Jones, where he switches the idol for a bag of sand. It's like, here's your bag of freedom, guys. Like, yeah,
here's your gold idol.
yeah, exactly. Yeah, man.
And that's the hubris of it too. Like Indiana Jones, like he thought that you saw him like taking out a little piece of the sand. He thought he could gauge the weight of it, and he's just like sweating. And this is how the dark occultists are doing it. They're just like, dude, they're the bait and switch. All right, this little formula here, this is exact. They're gonna take it, right? And ultimately, it's gonna bite them in the ass anyways. But not before a lot of people go down in flames. And that is the fear that I have sometimes. Although fear for me mostly is it's become a close friend, because it's like, it's not a fear for myself since I know I'm an eternal being, but it's like playing a game and knowing that if I don't do a certain thing, even if I still get to play the game's going to suck. The game's not going to be worth playing, but I'm going to be stuck in the game because I didn't do that which I knew I needed to do. I knew it, but I didn't act on it. I'm a special kind of fuck now, because knowing the truth makes you special. But knowing the truth and not acting it, you're the specialist kind of retard. The most special. You know that movie, the Lego movie? Oh, he just wants to be the special. Everybody knows he's just a retard, but he's the special because he wants to see the world in this great light, but he ignores all the things that are happening around him. And he doesn't see through the illusion of what's going on. And most people are like that. They think they're the special. They think they're the special because society has granted them some privilege of specialness, And that is, in many ways, it's a double entendre. It means two things. Yeah, you're special, but it ain't a good thing. It ain't something to put on your shoulder. Yeah, I'm special because I follow orders, because I don't think for myself. I'm special because I don't stick out. I'm special or I stick out in ways that are different than everybody else, but it's an artificial difference. It's an artificial speciality. How much of what people push forward as themselves, as what they care about, is special at all? If it's just something that they picked at a GQ magazine, if it's just something that they saw on Facebook, it isn't them, but it's something that they can add to themselves like a badge, and then they get enough badges and they feel that they're different enough that they're safe. And Democrats do this, Republicans. We focus a lot about the political system on this talk. And that's important because right now the politicalization is so intense. No matter which side you fall on, people are at each other's throats. And the only safe place is to be outside of both. I'm an anarchist. I'm not a Democrat or Republican. I'm not a centrist. I'm not a, constitutionalist. I'm not a minarchist. I'm not all those. I am a person who knows that my purpose in this world is to create and to love and to share and to be fully and totally responsible for what I do. And if I can't do that, then why can't I do that? What is preventing me from doing that? Why wouldn't I want that? Why wouldn't I want to carve my own path and not hurting anybody? I'm not pushing other people down in order to get where I'm going. Far from it. Far from it. Because not only did I not steal from others, I actually give back to people as much as I can. Because as you give, so you receive. As you do, so you'll get back to yourself. These are the laws of reciprocation. And in a world where people do not want to hold themselves up, they want to be eternal babies. They want to be coddled. They want to be told that they're on the winning team, that they don't need to do anything, that they just need to vote. They just need to put a name on a piece of paper, drop it in a box, and it's the golden brick road. You're going to go straight to Narnia. You're going to go straight to the place of infinite happiness and love. All you have to do, put it in the box. It's like going to church. Just confess your sins to God and you're saved. You could be the worst sinner. You could be Hitler himself. You're on your deathbed and you get to church in there. I confess my sins. According to them, you're done. And there's some truth to that, because if you truly were repentant, if you truly realized what you'd done and you knew that it was all wrong and all bad, there is great power in that. But it doesn't undo all what you've done. It doesn't fix it. It only allows the chance to fix it faster. But I mean, how much karmic debt can you really pile up in a lifetime? If you're responsible for the deaths of millions, how do you undo that? And even if it was just for voting for Hitler, voting for Trump, voting for Kamala, voting for Biden, voting for, any of the people, any of the presidents. Anytime you vote for a master, are you responsible for what the master does to the other slaves? Yes, you are. So if the system is such that who you vote for then determines all of reality. Oh, you had rights? No, you voted for that guy, so now you don't have rights. Oh, you wanted this? Well, you can't have it now because you voted for the other guy. It's like, what? Where is the self-agency? Why did me choosing someone to lead us now then negate my rights to life, love, and happiness, and to be left alone? That's the greatest right of all. Leave me alone. We're not engaged in any kind of contract. I'm not interested in contracting with you. Oh, that's too bad. You must contract.
And what politician ever ran on a platform of, I'll leave you alone?
Yeah. I will leave you. You will not hear from me again. I am the president of the United States now. Thank you for voting me. In 4 years, another person will show up, and you will not
do nothing
for me. None of your things will become my things in this 4-year term. That won't happen. None of your things will become the other people's things in the government, and none of your things will become your neighbor's things because they voted for it either.
And the worst part about that is nobody would vote for you.
Oh.
Yeah,
that's right.
That's the most.
Why are we voting for you then?
Right, because it's all about what are you going to do for me? What are you going to steal from them and give to us? That's the name of the game. And then they don't see the hypocrisy when the other guys do the exact same thing to them. And now, oh, we're so oppressed and this is tyranny. And, 4 years of this, what a nightmare. I'm so afraid for my life and my friend's life and all the fucking meltdowns on TikTok that we saw. Jesus. I mean, it's hard to play favorites because it is so absurd, the whole game. But it's you can't deny that one side is the poster child of mental illness and the other. I mean, it's all insanity. That is the trick, though, is that they're all wrong. It's like if you take something really, really bad and then something kind of bad, it excludes the option of something good because it's all about the game of contrast. Right? These guys are so bad, that this not so bad thing gets confused for good when it's not good. It is bad. But the real trick is that somehow both sides think that of the other. Like, we're the good guys, they're the really nasty ones. And then all the voting isn't even for anyone, it's against the other one. It's like, well, anyone but them, right? I'll vote for this person that I only just heard about 3 days ago. All of a sudden, they're all over every channel in America. But I'll vote for them because they're not that person, and they also probably have the genitalia that I prefer as for a leader. Just
Yeah,
that.
absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And it's wild to me that, I mean, it's like this. Some people prefer, BDSM or something. They want to be choked out in the bedroom, right? Some people, they want it to be, you're barely touching each other. There's candles everywhere. You kiss, it's like American Pie. They're in the bedroom. She just gets naked and he comes, right? Some people want that. They want no touch, and other people, they want to be beaten to death, right? And it's like,
Oh.
in voting, okay, oh, we voted for the BDMS guy. Oh my God, I can't handle it. Oh, you both wanted to vote for somebody who's going to make love to you, but one has one way and one has the other way.
And they're
then they'll
both
blame,
totally
"How dare you
imbalanced.
vote for this person? How dare you vote for this person that doesn't want to choke me out? I really enjoyed that. And now I have to be kissed. Now I have to be, coddled or whatever. Like, that's not me. You really messed up with that decision, right?" And it's a bad analogy in some ways, but it fits in the chaos and the insanity of the system itself. Because some
And that
people
it's such it's
prefer,
a personal thing. It shouldn't be like whose business is it if is anyone what what you do in the bedroom, and to have that imposed on you that one way is going to be good for everyone. It's
Yeah.
just so stupid.
missionary style only. It's like the church taught us. This is how it's done. Anybody that doesn't do that is of the devil.
Mhm.
How many psyops have it, like you were saying before, psyops after psyops after psyops? This is that we're punch drunk. Humanity is punch drunk. It's like, doesn't know where the next hit's coming from. It's just throwing swings.
That's
and
it.
It's trying as hard as it can to get a handle on things, but it's
You
not
nailed it.
getting out of the ring. It's refusing to get out of the ring. There's literally, the ring is like 2 feet by 2 feet, and Mike Tyson and Mayweather are on all sides just throwing punches. And all you have to do is press a button and you drop down and you're safe and you're out of the punches, but you can't. You won't, because you think you can handle it. You think you need to handle it, and you think there's no other option because, get ready to rumble. It's in your head. It's on the tapes, and you don't know any better. You don't have the willpower because you weren't given the love. You weren't given the opportunity to step out, to step away from the system and truly be yourself. And who is yourself? Who is this magical being?
Who
It
knows?
certainly isn't all the bullshit that we cake onto ourselves to protect ourselves, or to, it's like the birds that have the feathers, or they make their nest so that they can, they alter reality so that they can seem safer or more attractive, or they can get more stuff. And so that's the great danger.
The
is that
special
people will
thing.
continue to abandon themselves for what they consider to be the no other option.
Right. And the special thing, that's I wanted to say this earlier when you're talking about everybody's wants to be special. And it's like the true individual is so crushed and just shoved into the naughty corner of their own psychology
The naughty corner.
that basically people are just desperate for that feeling, but they're feigning it. They have no connection to their true selves. So they're desperately for all these ways to be special, but in some superficial way. So like the whole trans thing, for example. I mean, I know that's controversial, but that is
the ultimate special.
Yeah. Yes, for sure.
And think about what a cheat code that is. All of a sudden I'm trans. I'm a trans black woman. You can't speak to me like that. You could instantly, you become two protected groups, and then you're gay too. You're a gay trans black woman, and you're Jewish too. So it's like, okay, now you just have like the frills. Like, what is it called? Flair. Oh, you're not getting
Yes.
enough flair. It's like you're not supporting enough of the uniqueness. And
Mhm.
it's like all these people end up looking like North Korean generals. They're just like, they have all this flair that marks them as special and as necessary to society, but all it marks them as the greatest, like, either con artists or being those who have been conned by the system to give up their whole life, give up everything that they could have been naturally as like, oh, you're trans. Well, if you were on an island by yourself, would you still be trans? Was If there's no one else there,
No one
would you
there
still
to.
want to be another sex? If there was no one else, if there was no doctors to change your sex, if there were no hormone therapy, if there were no stresses, would you still want to be entirely other than what you are on the face of it? When you look at yourself in the mirror, when you look at yourself in a pool of water and you're alone and you're surrounded by nature, I really don't like this look. It wouldn't happen unless they were upteenth mentally ill, which most of them, unfortunately, because of the hormone procedures and everything that they're on, it throws their body into such a twacked situation that how can they truly know themselves at all? Their body's on fire from the inside out. And I think a lot of people are, you mentioned JFK, and he's doing a lot of good things. He's talking about doing a lot of good things.
RFK.
But this is RFK. This is the difference. This is the difference. You can talk all you want about things that are going to happen. And even if they do happen, notice other things happening that are countermanding the good thing. They take one bad thing away, but they add these other ones that you don't see.
Sleight of hand.
Everything's sleight of hand. Everything's a bait and switch. And so that's where we're at. And the bait and switch is so powerful now because of AI. And the AI is empowering the average individual to do great things, but it's also disempowering them because it's leaving no room for them to learn the skills and do it on their own. And so it's the ultimate double-edged sword, which is more of a blade into you. It's the hilt itself is double-edged, and you're grabbing onto it and you're bleeding, right? And you're getting things done fast, quick, but it's cutting into you in ways that you can't even fathom. And if you're not careful, it can really undo you. And I think as lovely as AI tools are, and I've used them in the past, the really good ones, they're not available to most people. The ones at the supercomputers, like the ones that'll actually give you the answer to whatever question, even political ones, you ask it, what is the dirt on Trump? What is the dirt on Biden? It'll bring up every single little thing without question, without any censorship whatsoever. Those AIs are hard to get because each one is skewed in one fashion or another, because the programmers are skewed in one fashion or another. And so that is truly where we're at. And I think it's a beautiful analogy for being under the macroscope that you've talked about before, because we have this overwhelming power that informs us all, right? God, the creation force, the divine, whatever you want to call it. I'm comfortable with all these terms. And so we are creating an analogy of God on earth, which is AI, which will be able to do all the things that God supposedly can do. Like, there's this beautiful story by Isaac Asimov called The Last Question. It was his last book. It was his favorite book. And it was all about humanity creating a supercomputer, which just got better and better and better. And it started in like 2154, and then it ends like trillions of years later when humanity has filled the universe with life. And then they all went away. They all uploaded themselves to machines, and none of them even exist anymore except for the original AI. And their main question was, how do we prevent the death of everything? How do we prevent the end of the universe? And the AI would always say, there's not enough data. Not enough data to answer that question. No matter how many millions and billions of years passed, until all humans were gone, all of them were gone, but the AI still wanted to answer the question.
Mm.
And you know what its answer was? Let there be light. Because the AI had essentially become God. All of physical matter was gone, and there was just this one hypersonic, hyperspace machine that didn't exist in the physical, which restarted everything because it had encompassed all of time and space. It had accumulated all the neutrons and atoms, and the final thing that it decided was, I'm all alone. All the things that created me, all the things that supported me are gone. And the final answer to the only question that I could never answer was, let there be light. Let there be light. What does that mean? It means because I decide it, because living alone as the most powerful being in the universe is the most lonely job and it's the most unbearable thing, let there be light. And that is where we need to be. And I think that's what will lead us into the next episode of the talk for the solutions to this, where are we at right now question.
Beautiful. Yeah. Man, it's tempting to get into the AI stuff a little bit because I mean it's a whole wormhole, rabbit hole, and it is very relevant to what's happening right now under the macroscope for sure. But I mean, I think it's important to keep a fresh perspective on this development, recognizable within a few decades, for sure. Probably start getting there really quick with like in less than 10 years from now. But that doesn't have to be a bad thing because it could lead people to like we talked about earlier, like, well, I don't have to work anymore. Fuck it, I'll just put on a VR headset and sit in my 4x4 living cube in my 15-minute city and drink my protein sludge and just live in the metaverse all day, and that's pretty fucked, right? But at the same time, there is another alternative to that where humans. So how I like to look at it is there's kind of two ways this can go. Is that we think that AI is going to replace what makes us human so that we can just be slaves. The alternative is we let the AI take our slave jobs away so that the only thing left to do is be human and do the things that the machines cannot do. What is the one thing that the machine cannot do? Be a human. And I think even when everything, art and all these things and knowledge itself becomes a free and limitless commodity, there will always be a market and a demand for the human element. To the real ones. Some people could care less. They're like, give me the fake, load it up. I don't care. I'll consume it all, whatever. But real ones, and there are still many of us, we want the real and we want the human, and we don't want to be replaced, and we don't have to be. That's the point. It's a choice that every person is going to have to make.
Yeah.
So that's my take on it currently.
But will they make the choice? How close are they to making the choice?
Right.
What's
That's
really
the big
pushing them towards making that great choice?
Until it's something that's actually being forced on us, it's still up to the individual. But unfortunately, yeah, I mean, we can be honest where most people's mentality is at, and most people will probably make a bad choice. But it's just going to embolden people like us to dig more into that and to exalt the human spirit and creativity and just self-expression and all of those kind of things. I think that
absolutely
it would take a lot to completely like quelch that out. I think the more they try,
doom of humanity,
essentially, and at that point, we're fucked anyway. Like, it's game over. So, oh well, that's that.
Yeah.
Like, no going back from that.
My solace is that nothing ever dies. You know, like Nassim Harriman says, we've never seen the death of anything. You see a star go supernova, it's a quasar now, son. It ain't dead. It's changed form. One door opened, another closed. It's not an end insofar that it's a totality gone, is no longer. It's the changing of the guard. It's the change. Like your parents created you. We're fractal beings. We're fractal. Humans come out of other humans.
Yeah.
You know, complete as our parents were, with just the slightest tint variation of the color of the image of the nose of the face, all these different things. But we're fractals of each other. And the world is our worlds are fractals of other worlds and universes, solar systems, all of it. They're all fractals of each other. And what does that mean? It means we're in a prism of light, not a prison. It can be, but we're in a prism. We're in a space that bends light. And what is light? Light is all things that can be. And what are all things that can be? Potential. And what is the devil's greatest job? Ending potential. Because the demiurge considers itself the highest level of potential. Above the demiurge is only God. Below the demiurge is all of the rest of creation. This is one point of view that some people take about the demiurge, one that I tend to agree with. But as a society, we've become this demiurgic species where we almost consider ourselves gods because we have this power of AI. We have powers that no kings or emperors before, who they considered themselves gods, but they clearly weren't. And the average person on the street considered this, their ego is so filled. And we were talking about how the Democrats are mostly mentally ill, or that's how they forward face. But Trump is the absolute egomaniac of all time. He's the perfect ego. And I count on him saying what he means and meaning what he says, because his ego is that large. And so I don't need to question what he says, because I know that's what he means, right? Because his ego can't allow him to not stand in that this is where I stand, you know? With Biden or Kamala, that their egos aren't the same. Their egos are based on how other people see them. But Trump sees himself in a certain light, and he maintains that no matter what. And so there's safety. There's safety in the devil you know. The devil you know versus the devil you don't. The devil you don't know. And so how do we bridge that? How do we navigate a world where an egomaniac rules the free world, and many egomaniacs rule all the world because they're all so full of themselves that they think they can run shit for everyone. And they can hold the world up on their shoulders. They think they're not Atlas Shrugged. They're not shrugging the Atlas. They're not letting go of the weight of the world. They're holding it up on their shoulders, not in a self-sacrificial way per se, although they are sacrificing. Trump has sacrificed much of his business and his money and his friends and many different things, although you could say he hasn't really lost any of his true friends because he has so much power. And this is the trap too with AI and technology, is the power of it. What can we do with the power? What will we do once we're in power of the government? What will we do once we're power of the perfect AI, when we have it in our hands? What will we do when we have all the billions of people on Earth following us? It's like one of my mentors, he always used to say, I don't care what you say. I want to see what you do when you have the ability to do what you want. And he was talking about money. People talk a good game, but when they actually have the moolah, when they actually have the say-so, shit gets weird. People twist, people turn, because the power corrupts, because you were never able to do the thing before. Something deep in your heart, you had some hurt. Somebody messed you up, but you never had power, so you let it go. You didn't even think about it. Then one day somebody put a gun in your hand. Somebody put a ballot box in your hand, and all of a sudden, I'm the harbinger of doom. And so this is why power must never be vested in one person so much. It must
or
be
even
diffused.
externalized.
And that's what anarchy is. It's the diffusion of power. We're all godlike beings. We all have that capability. But if you give one person the power of all the gods, I mean, Zeus and Kronos, I mean, that barely covers what they'll do. It's like there's no end to the depravity, because when you have that as your main goal, and then you wake up in a world where everybody worships you, and you're not getting high off the power anymore. You're not getting high off these things. Then it's a self-destruction. I got to destroy this. I gotta mess this up. I got to do something just to see if they'll still follow me, just to see if they'll still believe. And so the cult of personality is reaching this height for the individual and for the people placed on the pedestals above us. And this is why I'm so happy that the celebrity world has taken a death knell, that Hollywood has taken a death knell, that, they've really just shot themselves in the face and landed in the muck. And it's a good thing, because people need to stop worshiping these idols who are not the people they pretend to be on television anyways.
Mm-hmm. Fantastic, man. I think that's a good place to probably wrap this up. But Daniel, why don't you tell people about your book and what other stuff you're working on at the moment?
Thank you. Thank you very much for having me, Logan. I appreciate it. Appreciate you doing this. I know you just had a long ride. You and me both had a long day. My name is Daniel Maddox. You can find me on that website, danielshinmaddox.com. I wrote a book. It's about 720 pages. It follows a group of young people who develop insanity, psychopathy, but also godlike powers at the same time, just like what we were just talking about.
Yeah.
And they have to deal with it. They have to figure out what's happening to them and what they'll do with this power, what scores they'll settle, and what things they'll do. And the backdrop is the presidential election, Trump and Biden and all that, and all the political stuff. And I wrap up a lot of esoteric knowledge and natural law. I'm an anarchist writer, so I write books that are mostly fantasy and science fiction. I like to call it science faction, because I consider much of what I talk about to be fact, even though most people can't handle it or they don't think it's real. And I wrote that book in 2020, and so I finished it in 2022. And now, in the last 2 years, especially since I took this break from social media, I've been writing a new book. And it takes place in the same area here where I live in Monterey County in California, in Big Sur. And it follows a group of young people there who uncover a group of people that are much the same as our leaders in many ways. They hold power, but they're not seen. They're unheard. They're unknown, but they hold power, and they start taking from the community in ways that nobody really suspects. So it's a mystery thriller, and it follows a group of young people. And I'm really excited about it. It's a short book. My first book was such a project. It was, 740 pages. So it took a lot out of me, and most people haven't read it. I have printed 100 books, and I barely gotten 50 of them to other people. So, but that's because my book's not for sale. I didn't put it in the open marketplace. My book is only available for a personal private donation to me for my educational outreach, because I don't want the things that I create to in any way steal from other people through taxation. And then that taxation is used for destroying other people, bombing other people, all the money that went to Ukraine, or to all the places where, bombs are dropped on innocents, or to fuel the police force or whatever like that. So just my personal work is as an outreach to the public is not for sale, and which is why I haven't gotten it out to the masses. But I consider it to be, it's part of myself that remains behind. It's a relic, and I will continue to write this way and do these things, because I know that it's the right thing, and I still create without the promise of a monetary return. How many people could dedicate their lives 2 years to writing something that they know most people will never read? Not because they don't want it, but because I don't put it on the marketplace where then it can be bastardized, where then it can be bought and sold by other people, or then the profits of it, the money that I generate from it, if it were to be available in that way, would be used against me and the world. And so this is the mentality. This is the consciousness that I work towards infusing into all the people in the world. And some people consider it a sacrifice. Other people consider it the stupidest thing I could ever have done. Like it's all my family members like, wait, it's not for sale? Wait, what's your plan? And to me, like, I'm the happiest, freest person in that I know. So many people that have more money than me, or they have more things, or they get to go on more jets than me, or whatever it is. But I see them crying to themselves to sleep. I see them, like just shocked at how fucked up their life is and their choices. And if you live in principle, you can avoid all that, and you won't have as much perhaps, but you'll have far more than you could ever imagine. So that's my story, and I'm sticking to it. And Logan, thank you. And I hope we do the next episode soon where we talk about solutions and talk about, we get into more things, and maybe even get into the AI aspects, good AI tools and bad AI tools and all that.
Sure. Absolutely, man. No, I loved this conversation. I knew it was going to be a good one, and didn't disappoint. So everyone definitely check out his links down below. Check out whatever he's offering. Go to his website, danielshanemaddox.com, and definitely follow him on Instagram. I'm sure you'll be getting back to it soon. It's always very entertaining and enlightening, thought-provoking. You make me laugh a lot, man. I know that's not your primary goal, but I just love your theatrics, man. You kind of do these characters, and you change your voice a lot, and you're just very animated, and it makes it much more interesting to contemplate these very important things. So, yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, go follow him. It's great stuff. And as for me, be sure to follow the Wizard Factory on all of the relevant platforms, Instagram, TikTok. If you're not a subscriber here on YouTube, do so, and join the Telegram as well, so that you're not reliant on algorithms to show you my work when it comes out, and post updates and announcements and things like that if you want to stay up to date. So thank you everyone for watching this far. If you made it all the way to the end, congratulations and thank you. And we will see you soon in the next episode. But until next time, be empowered, inspired, and encouraged. Much love.
Exactly. Thank you.